Haunted Solitude in Alaska, 7 spine-chilling nights as a sinister man exposed his twisted gaze. The wind howled outside, fierce and relentless, as if the whole Alaskan wilderness was alive hungry. It clawed at the thin windows of the gas station where Sarah Sinclair stood, a single mother encased in the icy grip of despair. She could feel the isolation of the small town wrapping around her, tighter than a bear trap. Flickering neon lights cast eerie shadows, disorienting her, as the fear clawed at her throat. Night after night, she fell into a dark rhythm at this desolate outpost, her only job, her kids waiting at home, blissfully unaware, eyes darting towards the edges of her vision. She caught a glimpse of movement in the dark. Just outside the frost-covered glass, a figure. The hair on her arms prickled as she squinted, convincing herself it was just a trick of the low light, the vivid product of her anxiety. But her heart raced, pounding louder with the realization that she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Then she spotted him, a man lurking, his hollow stare locked onto her, sending chills skimming down her spine. Every night grew darker, anxiety tightening its grip. The recent disappearances of young women gnawed at her thoughts, an uninvited specter haunting her mind. Sarah felt the eyes of her community, quirky yet indifferent, bearing down on her whenever she voiced her fears. "Just the mountains playing games," they said, their words dripping with hollow pity. She wanted to scream, to demand they see the truth, but the icy air stole her voice. Questions welled up inside her, but the conversation never seemed to shift towards danger, only the usual mundane chatter. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. That night, fresh snow draped the world outside, muffling sound and painting everything a ghostly white. The wind screamed with rage, rattling the station. In that blinding whiteness, the man grew bolder, moving closer, one step at a time. His grin twisted and pulled at the corners of his lips like something from a nightmare. Her breath hitched as the shadows pooled deeper, almost alive with menace. The lights above her flickered ominously, dancing with uncertainty, as she felt the invisible chains of fear wrapping tighter around her. Panic surged through her veins. What was it about that smile? Why did he keep coming closer? She realized she could no longer ignore the hint of madness lurking in her frozen little town. Time stretched and warped as the storm raged, and in that deafening silence, a loud, jarring crash shattered the stillness. Was it the storm or something worse? Every nerve in her body screamed at her to run, yet all she could do was stand, frozen. Then, darkness engulfed her completely. The power cut out, a deep, suffocating void swallowing her whole. Fear hummed through her skin, but she could hear it, footsteps crunching in the snow, coming closer. Her pulse screamed for release as the whispers wrapped around her, choking out hope. Could she confront the figure, risk everything to step into the night? Each question clawed at her sanity, every heartbeat pulling tighter like a noose around her neck. She had to hold on. What horrors waited beyond the doors of her fragile sanctuary? The silence was thick, so oppressive it was almost tangible, wrapping around her like a suffocating blanket. Her breath came in quick, shallow gasps, the only sound that broke the stillness. She strained to hear beyond the crunching snow, every sigh of the wind amplifying her terror. Each second stretched, making shadows dance in her mind, threatening to swallow her whole. Then came a soft knock, a delicate sound yet heavy with dread, reverberating through her bones. In the pitch black, laughter echoed faintly, a twisted melody that clawed at her sanity. "Sarah," a voice called out, low and mocking. It was deep, like the growl of an unseen predator. Her heart shot up into her throat, pounding violently against her ribs. She fought the urge to answer, to call out, terrified that the moment she spoke, the darkness would pounce. She felt her pulse quicken, each beat drumming a frantic rhythm, urging her to act. "Is anyone home?" The voice rang clearer now, slithering through the darkness. I just want to talk. What could it possibly want to discuss? She dug her fingernails into her palms, seeking something solid amid the chaos. Could it be him? The man lurking outside, the one who made her feel exposed and vulnerable. Desperate thoughts twisted in her mind: how to protect her children. Should she hide? Or should she confront her worst fear? The darkness held its breath, amplifying the tension. Then, the lights flickered to life again, momentarily illuminating the gas station, creating jagged shadows that danced ominously at the corners of her vision. It was just a moment, but it was enough to reveal the figure standing at the door. The man was closer now than ever, his face a mask of torment twisted into a sinister grin, eyes glinting like shards of broken glass. He stepped forward, framing his peculiar silhouette against the backdrop of ghostly white wilderness. "Let me in," he beckoned, sweet as poison. "I can help you." She stumbled back, her mind racing. Help? What kind of help could he offer? The gnawing thought of the missing women returned, shadows flickering behind her eyes. This wasn't just a man, it was a predator disguised as a savior. With shaky hands, she moved behind the counter, feeling for the dull edge of a metal tool. Something to defend herself with. "Please, Sarah," he said, the voice now soft and smooth, deceptively comforting. "There's no need to be afraid. I can make the pain go away." Pain. The hairs on her neck stood on end. How did he know? It was as if he could smell her weakness, its scent mingling with the stale air of the station. Something shifted outside, a low growl echoing through the night. The wind whipped against the windows, and Sarah felt the icy touch of terror creep up her spine. Was it just the storm, or something beyond? The man chuckled softly, his smile widening, eyes narrowing. "Don't be foolish, Sarah. Running will get you nowhere. It's time to face the truth." Every instinct screamed at her to run, yet her body felt glued in place, memories of her children flickering in her mind like a beacon. How could she defend them if she couldn't escape? Just then the lights flickered off again, plunging her back into darkness. In that moment, she felt a cold breath on the back of her neck. Then came a rush of wind, and she braced herself for the worst. Would he break in? What if it wasn't just him outside? Panic surged again as the shadows threatened to consume her, but she had to stay awake, had to fight. Suddenly, a voice, not his, rose above the chaos. From somewhere close by, weak and trembling. "Mommy?" Her heart stopped. Was it her child? But the voice felt different, almost otherworldly. "Mommy, help me." Was it a call for help, or a trick to divert her eyes from the true menace at the door? A decision loomed over her as darkness enveloped everything. In that fractured moment, she remembered just one thing: she wouldn't let the nightmares consume her or her children. But as she gathered the courage to move, the icy grip of uncertainty tightened around her heart. Who was really calling? And what would emerge from the shadows once the truth was finally revealed? The temperature dropped further, the air tinged with frost and fear. Sarah stood frozen, heart thundering like a storm. The chilling voice echoed again through the suffocating darkness. "Mommy, please." She strained to listen, trying to anchor her senses. Was it truly one of her children? The familiar lilt of their voices danced on the edge of her memory, teasing her with hope and the very real possibility of a trap. Silence filled the gas station again, punctuated only by the thrumming in her chest. Clenching the cold metal wrench in her hand, she forced herself to breathe deeply, grounding herself against the overwhelming tide of horror swirling around her. Moving cautiously, each step felt like an ignited landmine. Shadows whispered, wrapping their shrouded fingers around her ankles, urging her to look away, to succumb to the darkness. "Mommy, I'm scared." The pleading voice became sharper, more desperate, echoing through the void. It tugged at her, a taut string strumming at her heart. "Is that you, Lily?" she whispered, praying her voice wouldn't betray her resolve. The moment felt fragile, balanced precariously between the world of logic and deep-set dread, but only a ghostly silence returned. The chill gripped her spine, and she could almost feel the man's eyes boring into her. They were still out there, circling like wolves. Their laughter rippled through the night air, a grotesque serenade to her impending doom, and then, as if answering the silent call of her fear, the lights flickered to life once more. "For the love of God," she gasped, feeling the weight of impending darkness pressing against her chest. As the lights illuminated the space, she caught a glimpse of the figure outside, his grin widening, a grotesque mask of malicious intent. "Mommy," the voice trailed again, quivering in the shadows. It felt closer now, sending icy tendrils creeping up her legs. No. That can't be her. Desperation clawed at her resolve. Get away from her. She shouted into the void, uncertain whether she was addressing the man or the phantasm of her child. "Do you really think they need you?" The man's voice slithered through the open door, sharp as a blade. "They're safer without you, believe me." Each word gouged like ice through her heart, mixing dazed confusion with a surge of primal urgency. Shadows pulsated and writhed as if every dark crevice was alive, shrieking an unspeakable truth. "Mommy." The voice pressed again, clearer yet vastly altered, that profound sense of wrongness surging to the forefront. "I'm lost." The wrench shook in her grip. Should she draw closer? But if she did, what would she uncover? A part of her wanted to burst into the icy night, to battle whatever horrors stalked in the shadows, but another part screamed to stay in the gas station, to protect the children if they were still inside with every fiber of her being. "Sarah," the man soothed, voice curling around her like smoke. "Open the door. Let me show you where they are. You could end this." Every cell in her body felt like it was vibrating, the fear overwhelming. She could sense the shadows shifting once more, their promise swelled, a dark promise of confrontation. She couldn't test the truth behind his words without risking everything. And then she remembered. The tool she held wasn't just for defense, it was a symbol of defiance. With steely determination, she steeled herself, posture squared, ready to confront him head-on. "I won't let you take anything from me," she yelled, voice cracking but resolute. But that ripple of fear returned, wrapping around her throat like a noose. Suddenly, she heard the unmistakable sound of shattering glass. The front window exploded inward, and the man stepped into the threshold, a monstrous silhouette framed against the dim light, shadow swallowed by night. "Now the real game begins," he whispered, and in that moment, terror took a tangible form, her pulse quickened, adrenaline flooding her veins. Was her resolve strong enough to withstand the growing darkness? Would she dare challenge the monster standing before her? And then the voice echoed. Again, this time from behind her. "Mommy, we're waiting." The shadows twisted, merging with the figure now just a step away. The stakes were higher than ever. Would she unravel the truth or lose everything in a nightmarish spiral of despair? The echoes of her children's voices haunted her thoughts, mixing with her palpable fear. What awaited her in the darkness beyond? And how would she find the strength to confront the true horror lurking around her? The figure advanced slowly, almost deliberately, his grin stretching wider as if finding joy in her terror. "Where are they?" Sarah demanded, gripping the wrench tightly, knuckles white against the metal. "Your little girls, they're just out of reach," he taunted, voice dripping with mock sympathy. "But oh, if you only knew how close." Her heart raced, pounding in her chest like a caged animal desperate for escape. The knife edge of panic surged, dulling her senses. She couldn't let him see the fear in her eyes. This was a game to him, but it was her life. "Leave them out of this," she screamed, the sound raw and primal. She wanted to launch herself at him, to beat him back into the shadows where he belonged, but something deep inside held her still, an instinct to shield her children and protect whatever fragments remained of their innocence. "Mommy," the voice came again, lightened with a false cheer that cut deeper than any knife. "Please come find us." His laughter echoed after those words, teasing and tormenting, each note striking like a hammer against her skull. She glanced back toward the gas station, desperate to see if her children were there, if they were really calling for her. The flickering lights provided a momentary strobe, illuminating the chaos of the room, the scattered candy bar wrapper, the toppled energy drink cans, the remaining flicker of hope, but that hope was a mirage. With a single swift motion, he lunged forward, and adrenaline surged through Sarah, igniting her muscles. She swung the wrench with all her strength, catching him across the arm. He hissed in pain, the grin faltering for just a moment as he recoiled. Foolish woman. He spat, eyes narrowing, rage and something darker flickering within them. What have you done to them? She demanded, heart racing as she stepped back, trying to regain distance. The cold air pricked at her skin, yet the temperature felt static, as if the world was impatiently holding its breath. In that moment, shadows shifted around her, dragged coherently into a single point, a swirling mass of darkness that seemed to wriggle and pulse. The walls of the gas station resonated with whispered words, unintelligible yet filled with grief. I can take you to them, he hissed, blood trickling from where she struck him, but only if you trust me. Trust you? She spat, disgust coating each syllable. You're a monster. A monster is a matter of perspective, dear Sarah. He tilted his head, eyes glinting like knives. You're so blissfully ignorant of the monsters in your own backyard, but I can help you see. Her mind raced with dread, spinning wildly. There was no way she could follow him into the darkness, no way she could trust anyone who toyed with her shattered heart. But the chains of fear were heavy. The lure of her children's voices felt like shackles. Suddenly, the gas station flickered again, plunging her into an abyss of shadow. The man closed the gap, moving like smoke, and Sarah stumbled back, heart clenching with the familiar pang of despair. Stop! She cried out, moving toward the door, but then a gut-wrenching cry erupted from the void. Mommy! Help us! It was real. The urgency, the fear, all too real. The wrench dropped from her grasp, clattering against the ground as she turned toward the sound. If her children were truly out there, she had to act, but the door stood locked, just beyond her reach. Don't you want to save them? The man interjected, his tone dripping with feigned innocence. It's so simple, just let me in. No. She shouted, panic erupting inside her. The weight of her children's cries clawed at her insides. As she glanced back towards the threshold, the shadows pulsed like a heartbeat, whispering secrets to the wind. Driven by a sudden rush, she charged towards the man, fear igniting a fire beneath her skin. I'm coming for you. He laughed, fierce and cold, stepping aside as the darkness behind him thickened like a wall, blocking her escape and sealing off the only chance she had left. Let the game begin. And then, his laughter faded into the shadows, leaving the air heavy with a dread that felt tangible. In that twisted silence, in that suffocating moment, Sarah realized with chilling clarity that the worst was yet to come. Where were her children? Who was this man really? What fresh horror awaited her as the darkness beckoned, her breath hitched, racing through time and space, as she braced herself for what lay ahead. How could she fight terror when it felt alive, hungry, and breathing around her? The hunt had begun. What terrifying truths would she uncover as she ventured deeper into the night? The shadows twisted around Sarah, thickening with every breath she took. Her pulse quickened, each beat resonating with urgency, with dread. The whispers grew sharper, crawling into her ears like insects, burrowing deeper into her mind. Mommy, the voice, again. How could it carry so much fear yet feel so distant? She grasped the edge of the counter, nails digging in as she fought against the pull of despair. The gas station's inside lights flickered once more, illuminating the distorted reflection of the man, his grin never wavering. He was still there, a leering specter at the edge of her sanity. Let us play a game, shall we? His voice sliced through the noise, dripping with malice. I know where they are. I can show you. You just need to agree. Get away from me. She shouted, every ounce of her resolve surging to push him back. But the darkness pulsed, a living thing yearning to swallow her whole. Think of them, Sarah, he continued, stepping closer, as if the shadows parted for him. Where do you think they could be? You could rescue them, you could be the hero. Or he paused, tilting his head as if contemplating something dreadful. Or maybe you'll be too late. Her breath hitched. She didn't want to imagine that. The idea alone made her stomach twist. Why are you doing this? She demanded, voice trembling. Because, dear Sarah, I thrive on fear. It makes it all the more exciting. He giggled softly, a sound like nails on a chalkboard. And your children? They're such lovely little creations. You'd do anything for them, wouldn't you? The realization slammed into her. He knew her. Her desperation was evident, a beacon that made her vulnerable. Sarah couldn't let him see her weakness. She had to claw through that cloud of anxiety. The children came first. Tell me where they are. She pressed, anger replacing fear, driving her forward. They're innocent. They don't deserve this. Ah, but that's precisely the point, he said, voice dropping to a whisper. Innocence makes the game more delicious. They'll scream in the dark, Sarah. Like you. When they realize it's all just a matter of time before you must choose. His laughter rolled through the room, wrapping around her like a noose. She forced her eyes shut, clenching her fists. No. She wasn't going to be his pawn. Not now. But as she opened her eyes again, she found the gas station distorting, the shadows morphing into grotesque shapes. Faint silhouettes danced hungry, eager, the echoes of her daughter's cries resonated in the depths of her mind. Please help us. The door. She had to reach it. If she could just get past him. Mustering every ounce of courage, Sarah bolted towards it. But a tendril of shadow shot forward, latching onto her ankle. She screamed as it yanked her back, flattening her against the floor. Where do you think you're going? He asked, the gleam in his eyes more alive than ever. He knelt beside her, his breath icy against her face. The game is only just beginning. Every nerve in her body screamed. She twisted and fought, but the darkness clung to her, suffocating. When had hope turned into this grim realization of despair? Get off me. Listen closely, he whispered, leaning in with a fierceness that made her skin crawl. If you want to find your precious daughters, you'll have to face me in the dark. As he pulled back, a different kind of laughter escaped him, chilling her to her very core. Sarah could feel the air thickening with malice, her breath shallow, panic pooling within her chest. What game was he talking about? Was she truly ready to step into that darkness? Time's ticking, Sarah. Will you play? She swallowed hard, glancing back at the door one last time. Would she risk it all for her children? The stake only grew higher, yet the way around him felt impossible, but somewhere, in the back of her mind, a sliver of determination sparked. She would fight, no matter the cost, with resolve. She met his gaze. I'll face you. But you won't win. His laughter echoed again as the room plunged into darkness, deeper than before, whispering threats sown with shadows. What awaited her as she stepped into that void? The truth waited hidden in the night. Would she be brave enough to unveil it? The darkness enveloped Sarah like a shroud, swallowing the gas station's faint light behind her. Each step felt heavier, as if the very air was alive, pushing against her with unseen hands. Every instinct screamed at her to turn back, but she couldn't. She wouldn't. Good choice. His voice was a malicious whisper, echoing in the void, further twisting her courage into dread. Now, let us begin. From the blackness, shapes began to emerge. Shadows shifted into sharp, splintered forms, crawling, twisting, and reaching out for her. The silence was thick and oppressive, punctuated only by the low hum of electricity, like the dying breath of the gas station that now felt like a tomb. Where are they? She called out, desperately hoping her own fear wouldn't betray her. What have you done with my daughters? Ah, the same question that will soon unnerve your soul, he said, his tone dripping with mockery. They're safe, for now. A sadistic chuckle rolled through the darkness, cold and slicing. Sarah's heart raced, pounding furiously in her chest. She forced herself to breathe, to think. This was a game. A sick, twisted game. She needed to outsmart him. Show me. She demanded, the tremble in her voice belied her shaky resolve. Just show me. Patience is a virtue, dear Sarah, he replied, his laughter fading into a faint echo, like whispers of leaves rustling in the wind. But I can give you a glimpse. Face your fears. Suddenly, a flicker of light cut through the shadows, revealing a grotesque scene. Her daughters' faces, twisted with terror, appeared in the glassy eyes of the faceless shadows encircling them. They were trapped, their cries merging into a chilling symphony. Mommy! One screamed, her voice stretched thin with panic. Stop! Sarah shouted. You won't hurt them. With each frantic plea, the shadows writhed, feeding off her fear. She felt their presence sinking deep into her skin, dragging her down into their depths. Memories flooded her mind, happy laughter, warm embraces, bedtime stories. Each thought shoved her desire to fight back into the shadows. Remember their joy. Their innocence. His voice reached her again, smooth and chilling. It's so delicate, like a candle in a storm. One strong gust, and poof. What do you want? She yelled, desperation clawing at her insides, merging with anger. You think you can scare me? I will find them. He stepped closer, shadow blending into shadow, eyes glowing like embers. It's not fear I want, Sarah. It's your despair. Embrace it. Channel it. Only then can you save them. Her stomach churned. His words slid under her skin, sickness pooling in her chest. But there was flickering strength within her, the fierce love of a mother defying the darkness. You're wrong. She spat. I refuse to let you win. Is that so? He stepped back, letting the darkness swell around her. Then let us see how long you can hold on. Every second you spend in this shadow will bring you closer to understanding true despair. And just like that, the shadows lunged at her, teeth gnashing, arms reaching, mocking her struggle. Panic rose, a wave of icy dread. She fought, but it would never be enough without knowing the echoes of her daughters calling her name reverberated, pushing her to fight against the tide. She could not lose them. Not again. You'll see the depths of your own darkness soon enough, his voice loomed, taunting. What lies in store for you, Sarah? A nightmare or a chance to awaken? An inhalation of metallic air caught in her throat as she twisted, breaking free in a momentary surge of dread-fueled adrenaline. But what awaited her in the heart of this terror? Would she uncover resilience or be consumed by despair? The shadows whispered behind her, alive and hungry. Time was about to snap, and with it, every secret buried within would rise from the dark. Would she be ready to face them? The air felt hotter now, thick with dread. Shadows surged, summoning a cacophony of whispers that rippled through the darkness like ice cracking beneath the weight of an oncoming storm. Sarah fought against the tide, but every breath tasted of despair, a bitter reminder of what lay at stake. Do you hear them, dear? They're getting louder. The voice slithered into her mind, weaving threads of anxiety tighter around her throat. Shadows reformed, and grotesque faces were bearing down on her, twisted in glee, eyes gleaming with madness. She could feel panic welling inside her chest as the shadows stretched, clawing toward the flickering light that held her fragmented memories hostage. What do you want from me? She cried out, her voice cracking, mingling with the tortured cries of her daughters echoing in the air. Your surrender, of course, he replied, a sinister glee drenching each syllable. All you have to do is embrace your darkest fear, and your daughters will be returned safely to you. It's a simple price, don't you think? No. She shouted, a surge of defiance swelling within her. I want to let you take them. Desperation fueled her, and she stumbled forward, fighting the thick tendrils of darkness that twisted around her limbs, sending jolts of ice-cold fear racing through her veins. The shadows laughed, mocking her attempts, a din that swelled around her like a funeral march. In a fit of rage and determination, she lunged toward the flickering light, her heart hammering against her ribcage, each beat resonating with the names of her daughters, a mantra repeating in her mind. For every inch she fought, the shadows retaliated, dragging her back into their cold embrace. She could see them now, her daughters, surrounded by the grotesque forms, their terror painting the air a vivid splash of agony in the foreboding night. Look at their faces. They're pleading for you, Mommy. The dark figure stepped into the sickly light, its features sharp and devoid of humanity. Each word dripped with malice, an unholy serenade. What kind of mother lets her children suffer? I'm not giving in. I'll fight. Sarah gasped, curling her fingers into fists, trying to block out the voices, the visions, the suffocating grip of despair. In response, the shadows writhed, swirling like a tempest of darkness around her. The faces morphed, twisting into familiar visages, faces of friends, relatives, even strangers, all distorted, their mouths moving but silent, their eyes pool depths of unbearable sorrow. Face it. The darkness beckoned, a mocking whisper in her ear. Everything you've hidden is here. Every choice you made, every time you faltered. It's all yours to bear. Each step felt heavier, the memories dragging her under like lead weights. Each plea, each moment when she let her daughters down flooded back. They became anchors, shackling her to this unfathomable pit. Doubts clawed at the edges of her mind, merging with fear. Do it. Let go. The sinister echo urged her, wicked delight dancing in its tone. Shadows clawed closer, and she could almost feel the cold breath of despair wrapping around her like barbed wire. Sarah screamed, a raw, primal sound that cut through the depths of her being. I will not sink into you. I will not lose them. I will fight. In that instant, an unexpected spark ignited through her, raw and furious. With it came a whisper of hope, warm and bright amidst the bitter chill, but as flashbacks of happiness surged, shadows veered dangerously close, teeth gnashing, their hunger palpable. Do you dare challenge your own darkness? The figure loomed larger, shadows swallowing the flicker of warmth. This is just the beginning. Haven T, you heard. You can't escape the truth that lies within. Fear coursed through her, but courage warred against it. As the shadows lunged, Sarah knew one thing for certain: this was no longer just about her daughters. It was about survival. Would she break free or be swallowed by her own darkness? Heavy silence hung in the air. The shadows paused, as if sensing the shift within her. A moment of caution. And in that stillness, Sarah dared to look deeper, unearthing the truths that festered within her, truths that may just give her the power to confront this nightmare head-on. But what unspeakable horrors would be unleashed when the light reignited? Sarah felt the weight of the void thrumming against the insides of her skull. It had been a long time since she dared to look inward, yet here she was, naked against the swell of shadows. Each pulse became a reminder, the truth was there, lurking, eager to leap from the dark crevices of her memory. Let it in, Sarah, the figure taunted, darkness swirling like a storm cloud around its form. You know it. You've always known. With each flicker of the light, each desperate grasp for her daughters, memories surfaced like sharp shards of glass. Moments of neglect, of frightful mistakes, the time she scolded Lily for a harmless prank, or when she lost track of her girls at the park, the panic radiating through her body with every second they were out of sight. Sickening guilt flooded her senses, but, with it, anger sparked like a fire. I won to let you win. She yelled, her voice shaking but determined. The shadows hissed, the grotesque faces shifting and resembling her own. I am not what you say. But you are. They chanted in unison, their voices melding into a haunting symphony. The shadows coiled tighter, almost suffocating in their insistence, punctured by a single voice that echoed through the chaos. Your weakness, your failures, they feed me. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes but refused to let them fall. I will not be your victim. She screamed. The flickering light pulsed, a heartbeat in the darkness. As if responding to her defiance, the shadows lifted slightly, allowing flickers of clarity to pierce through. She thought of her daughters, their laughter ringing through her mind, their joy lighting up the darkest corners of her soul. For the first time, she engaged the shadows, confronting the chaos swirling within. "I am not weak," she declared, feeling a strength surge from her core. "I've made mistakes, yes, but I will not lose hope." The laughter morphed into a roar, echoing through the darkness as if mocking her resolution. "Do you think hope can shatter the dark?" The light flashing surrounding her began to bleed into colors, illuminating the writhing tendrils of the shadows momentarily. Vivid greens and fiery reds, colors of rage and love, began to clash. "Does it scare you, the warmth that threatens your grasp?" she taunted, her new resolve firmly tightening around her heart. The shadows jerked away slightly, an odd reaction that gave her pause. For the first time, she felt a connection to the dark figure, a grotesque distortion of the person she had been. "What have you become?" she whispered, voice trembling with understanding. The darkness hesitated, scattering like scattered leaves in the wind. It loomed back, eyes gleaming, but now with uncertainty. "You dare question me?" "Yes," she shouted, pushing through the fear that clawed at her. "You represent everything I've been afraid to face." The shadows recoiled, angry and unsettled. In the split-second hesitation, Sarah understood, she had the upper hand. She took a step toward the gloom, not turning away but charging forward. "Bring it on!" she shouted, her heart racing with newfound vigor. "I choose to embrace my truth, no matter how much it hurts." And in that moment, something cracked within the heart of the darkness, a fissure that threatened to swallow the shadows. Bursting through like a dam breaking, the reality of her own despair flew from her mouth, the pain cascading into the void. "I failed," she cried, letting the words tumble like stones. "But I will not overshadow my love for my daughters. I will fight for them because I love them, because I am strong." The shadows screamed, a deafening howl that reverberated through Sarah. Was she breaking through the darkness? Or would it pull her deeper into despair? Whatever the case, she hadn't enough time to evaluate. In that moment of excitement, the shadows surged forward with ferocity, their desire to consume her intensifying. "No. I'll control this," she gasped, eyes reflecting the light of her inner resolve as it ignited. But before she could respond, the shadows lunged once more, a dark tide threatening to drag her under, twisting and circling. Her breath quickened, and she clenched her fists tighter, desperation blending with determination. In the midst of the rising storm, she caught sight of her daughters, their terrified faces etched into the depths of the dark. "Sarah!" they cried. "Hold on!" she pleaded, leaning into the shadows, ready to confront it all for them, for her. But would the strength within be enough to sever the chains of despair, or was this just the start of a much darker journey than she ever anticipated? The shadows charged at her, a whirlwind of darkness, clawing and scratching as if trying to pull her back into the depths of despair. Sarah gritted her teeth, fighting against the overwhelming tide, her heart racing with pure adrenaline. "I want to let you take me," she screamed, pushing through a wall of terror that felt almost tangible. As the darkness wrapped its icy fingers around her throat, she focused on the light she had ignited within herself. Each pulse felt like a beacon, a glimmer of hope battling against a monstrous storm. The faces of her daughters danced in her mind, urging her onward. The echoes of their voices turned into an unbreakable tether binding her in this war against the encroaching night. But no matter how hard she fought, the shadows pressed closer, demanding her submission. A voice like sandpaper rasped from their depths, "You can't escape your past, Sarah. You are chained to it." The words slithered through her, seeking cracks in her resolve. Suddenly, she felt the ground shift beneath her. She lost her balance, tumbling into the deeper darkness. Panic clawed at her chest. She grasped for something, anything, to steady herself. Her fingers found the roughness of the ground a real place against the emotional chaos swirling within. "Fight!" she screamed inwardly, but another voice joined the chorus of torment, this one softer, almost familiar. "Mom, help us!" It echoed, fragile and full of fear, wrenching her heart. It was Lily. A flash of her daughter, small and terrified, fueled the fire in Sarah's soul. "No." The word erupted from her lips, but it was mingled with realization. The shadows were feeding off her fears, her guilt. They thrived on the very despair she had allowed to take root. If she wanted to win this battle, she needed to wield the truth. With each breath, Sarah gathered her thoughts. "I may have failed, but I am more than my mistakes." She shouted into the void. "I'm their mother. I will fight for them." A wave of light exploded from her core, radiating outward. The shadows shrieked in protest, twisting and thrashing, losing their form. Colors surged within the darkness, brilliant yellows and radiant blues, harmony rising most unmistakably from the chaos. In that moment of clarity, she caught a glimpse of her daughters amid the chaos, real and desperate. "Please, Sarah!" they cried, their hands outstretched. "Hold on." She reached for them, determination eclipsing fear. The tether between them glimmered with golden threads of love and strength. She pulled against the dark grips, feeling the warmth seeping into the void. But just as quickly, the shadows retaliated, crashing into her with renewed ferocity. A wave of regret washed over her. Had she pushed too far? Was she losing sight of the light? Desperation rose like bile. She wasn't ready to lose them. "I refuse." She howled, clenching her fists, each pulse of light brightening her resolve, but that very moment, the darkness convulsed violently, as if sensing her renewed strength. The shadows hissed, their forms shifting and merging, creating grotesque figures that mirrored her own fears, a twisted reflection of what she despised. "You think you can defy me? I am you, Sarah. I will consume you." A bone-chilling realization gripped her. The dark figure was not just a manifestation of her fears but an echo of her own despair. "I will face you," she screamed, glaring at the shadow that sought to claim her. "I will reclaim what is mine." As the shadows surged forth, she stood her ground, heart pounding, hands wide open. The light within her surged and shimmered, ready to clash. Would she shatter the darkness? Or would her light dim beneath despair's weight, dragging them all into unfathomable depths? The air crackled with tension, a final confrontation simmering just beyond sight. And then, everything snapped. In an explosion of power, Sarah confronted the darkness, standing squarely against everything it had come to represent. The shadows writhed, furiously struggling against her newfound light. She could see her daughters' terrified faces looming at the periphery, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and unwavering hope. The shadows, sensing that the battle was shifting, screamed indecipherable curses, each utterance desperate to sink its fangs into her resolve. "No more!" Sarah shouted, her voice ringing uncompromisingly through the darkness, cutting through the chaos like a knife. "I reclaim my strength. I embrace my past, but I will not be defined by it." And with that declaration, the light ignited within her, flaring brilliantly, charging at the shadows like an unstoppable force. Vivid hues exploded in every direction, illuminating the night. The darkness shrieked and clawed, but one look at her daughters gave her the purpose she needed. The unwavering love that bound them together lit the furthest reaches of her heart. "Mommy!" Lily cried out, her small voice a lifeline. "Hurry! We're here." Sarah lunged toward the brightness of their connection, every inch filled with determination and fierce love. The shadows, now furious and panicked, lashed at her, but each strike absorbed the light within her, weakening their hold. "I see you for what you are. You are every moment I've faltered, every mistake I've made, but you will not prevail. I am more than my fears." The dark entity, its grotesque features morphing as it retaliated, lunged toward her with desperation. "You can't escape. You need me." It raged, claws extended, shadows crashing against her. But Sarah was no longer afraid. Her heart raced with clarity. I don't need you. What I need is my family. Newfound strength surged through her veins, electric and unstoppable. She immersed herself in the warmth of her memories, the laughter of her daughters reverberating through her mind. In that moment, the shadows hesitated, the flickering light growing stronger, expanding outward until it enveloped them both. Then, at the height of the climax, she shouted one last time, "This ends now." The light exploded forth, consuming every inch of shadow around her. The darkness writhed and howled in agony, unable to sustain itself against such ferocity. And then, silence fell. An otherworldly peace settled in, replacing the cacophony that had taken over moments before. The air felt lighter as the last remnants of the shadows disintegrated, dissolving like smoke in sunlight. As the glowing remnants faded away, Sarah stumbled back. She blinked, trying to catch her breath, and when her eyes adjusted, the clarity of the gas station returned. The flickering lights now steady, illuminating the shadows that had haunted her just moments before, and they were here. Her daughters stood before her. With arms outstretched, tear-streaked faces bright with relief, Lily and the younger Elise rushed into her embrace. "Mommy!" they cried, their voices harmonizing in a perfect symphony of love. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she wrapped them tightly in her arms. "You're safe. You're here," she whispered, holding them fiercely as if they could evaporate. From outside, the raging wind died down, the storm finally retreating, leaving behind a calm blue sky speckled with stars filtering through the frosted glass windows of the gas station. They felt whole again, surrounded by love and warmth, but Sarah understood this wasn't just an end, it was a beginning. She looked down at her daughters, knowing every day would be a reminder of their shared strength, but she also wore a knowing smile. "We'll face everything together," she promised, brushing strands of hair from their faces. "No more hiding. No more fear." And as they stepped outside into the Alaskan night, the glow of the stars above seemed to echo their victory, a reminder that strength thrives in love. Sarah's heart swelled with hope, excited for the new chapters to come. They would build a life filled with resilience, laughter, and the unwavering bonds they shared. The horrors of the past lingered, yes, but they would transform an endless source of courage, pushing them forward. Shadows would come and go, but they would stand strong, hand in hand, and with that moment, they disappeared into the calm of the wilderness, where dawn awaited, new beginnings never far behind. Now, before leaving, I've got to tell you something super important. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our next exclusive stories that have you hooked. Smash that like button now to help feed the algorithm. It only takes a second but makes a huge difference. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. I can't wait to read them. Finally, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.